I'd like to take a couple moments to ask some unstructured questions. So as I'm listening to you speak and really share your journey, including, encouraging people to think outside the box, don't wait for a job posting, go to the opportunity. What do you have to lose? You didn't have the job before you showed up with your resume. And if you don't have it afterwards, well, it was an afternoon, maybe a coffee, and then the confidence of knowing that, you tried versus not trying. I want you to think of the candidate that is not yet a candidate. They're not yet in day one of your orientation workshop for Core 1. You haven't yet had a chance to speak to them. And maybe they're listening to this video. Maybe they just came from undergrad and they have all the prerequisites, but they're thinking, I don't know, is accounting for me? I don't know if I want to be an accountant for the rest of my 30, 40, 50, 60 years. I don't love accounting. I don't love debits and credits. My two-part question. Do you think the CPA PEP program could offer them something? And if so, or if not, why?
So that's a really good question. It's actually one that I've had discussions with people a lot about is, should you become an accountant or should you take this education? One of the things I've always kind of referred to and thought about is that a lot of jobs have prerequisites. To become a doctor, you need to go get your doctorate in medicine. To become a dentist, you have to go to dental school. To become an accountant, you got to get your CPA. If there was some way to enforce a prerequisite to becoming an entrepreneur, it would be accounting, from my opinion, 100%. As an accountant, I've been in public accounting. I've worked with lots of different businesses. And the number one thing that I wish I could just help them understand is how money works, how cash in and cash out works, to go beyond just looking at a bank statement, and to have even if you don't love it, even if you hate it, to have even the faintest understanding of how tax works. Just to understand what you're taxed on and how much you need to be saving for tax and the concept of it. That's the biggest struggle that I've watched people deal with. And so is the accounting program worth it? 100%. Now, sure, you might hate debits and credits. I know lots of people who do. The biggest thing I think about accounting is that once you get through the education, it opens up so many opportunities. Yes, I started in public accounting, personal tax returns, debits and credits all day long. I lived and breathed it for a long time. But when I started my own firm, I got into business consulting. I was able to meet with people and talk to them about their challenges and meet with them on a regular basis, set goals, help them improve their business. Having the financial background helped me make better decisions and help me provide better advice. That's now led into an opportunity now where I am a CFO at a construction group, and we're looking at acquisitions, mergers, and expanding and growing. We're trying to change softwares and systems, and it's getting into so much other work. And at any time, I could leave this and go start another business with confidence that I know how to make it work, that I know how to talk to the bank, I know how to deal with the CRA, I know how to manage my funds and make sure I can make an income. So yeah, is it worth it? 100%. Is it a slog? Yes, it is. No doubt about it. Debits and credits can be a pain. But again, remember that the CPA program too goes beyond university. If you're coming out of university and you haven't started the CPA program, it's so much different. There's less about debits and credits and tax rates and memorization. It's a lot more about communication. That's what the workshops are about, and that's what the cases are about. Can you communicate? Can you talk to people? Can you take something complicated, distill it down into something simple, and communicate it? If you learn how to do that, go get your MBA after you get your CPA and go get any job you want in the whole wide world, because you'll know how to talk, you'll know how to communicate, you'll know how to explain yourself, and it's going to help you in any career.
Yeah, I want to just really emphasize what you said there. It's not the same as university. It's not another 2-3 years of what you've already done. If anything, if you take a look at the competency map, and depending where you did your undergrad, you covered like most of it while doing your prerequisites, if not more. So it's not like you're going to be learning more things. You're going to be applying them and getting confidence in applying them. And what applying them means is that communication bit, that problem solving, demonstrating some teamwork elements and solving the problems, integrating those different silos of tax, accounting, finance, strategy, and governance, and really just solving problems for a wide variety of users. So what's been great about this chat with you is seeing how what we've learned and modeled within the CPAWSB professional education program has actually come to fruition in your own life. You know, you've been able to work at firms, to be a partner at a firm, to be a leader at a construction company, to work in education. You know, I always refer to this CPA designation as a choose your own adventure, and that I myself am in like a second or a third career based off of one degree. And yeah, from there, I got another one. Because we can, right? We have that foundation, we have that financial knowledge, and we have that ability, that confidence to speak to the numbers and to solve problems that perhaps we previously didn't know how to solve, because that is our training. So fantastic. Thank you. And I have somebody in particular that will be very, very interested in that answer. And I think a lot of people will benefit. So thank you.
Yeah,
so I want to revisit this thinking outside the box item. And I just want to integrate it with your own life. So you mentioned leaving the firm and you mentioned your career trajectory. You also mentioned family. That's where you're going to find you 99% of the time when you're not doing workshops or working as the CFO of a construction company. Candidates are often, told this, I don't know where it came from, but this kind of predetermined destiny. This, go here, stay here until you're done this, and then 2 years here, and then this, and then 4 years here, and then this, and then perhaps you can go travel, but only for this 6 months. So, while you obviously haven't done everything, what would your advice be to aspiring CPAs, so potential CPA candidates, current CPA candidates that want a life that perhaps looks exactly like yours? Perhaps it looks like they want to travel the world 6 months out of the year, and they want to, do sustainable farming 6 months of the year. What advice would you give them to really encourage that thinking out of the box mindset?
So, bit of a loaded question. So I'm going to do my best to try to touch on it.
Totally. Not fair at all.
One of the things that I guess I'll touch on is in accounting, in public accounting, when we're doing year ends, there was a phrase that we had attached to some line items. When we're going through and reviewing costs and reviewing amounts, sometimes we'd attach a line that says same as last year or Sally. And every company I looked at and I'd see that, I always ask myself, well, how do I know that it was right last year? And doing that actually led to discovering things that need to be written off, things that need to be changed, because nobody ever asked. It was, oh, well, that's the same as last year. Equity doesn't change, it's same as last year. And then you miss the fact that they've actually talked to the lawyer and redeemed preferred shares, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that has to happen, or whatever it might have been. And so it's the same thing. It's don't fall into this mindset that what worked for somebody else is going to work for you. Don't fall in this mindset that it's just the way it has to be. That's just the way it goes. We've seen it already, and it's happening more and more, that the labor market is changing and the way people work is changing, and working from home is more common, and so many things are just not the same as they used to be. And so having the same mindset is going to put you behind, because that same mindset was for the way things worked 5, 10, 20 years ago, even last year. Like who would have ever guessed the changes we'd see from COVID and working from home? And now it's completely changed huge chunks of the industry with all this working from home, and how much more freedom and flexibility there's become. So with that, if somebody ever tells you, oh, this is just the way it is, right away, you should doubt. Right away. Don't listen to that. Just because they say it's the way it is doesn't necessarily mean that's true. It worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And what worked for your friend isn't going to work for you. You have to think about yourself. Now, one of the experiences that really led me to this was when I was at my second job. Okay, so I've been there for about a year. So I was a year and a half into the CPA program, and I had done a few things there. Now, this was at one of the bigger firms, one of the alphabet soup ones. I won't say which one, but I was working there, and I had tracked the write-ups and write-offs on the jobs that I worked on. So I knew how much time I had saved compared to last year. And I actually figured this out, in Excel, a bit of a nerd. And I figured out I'd save this company $44,000 in write-offs because I was able to get the file done quickly and efficiently. Time came for raises. I showed them this ahead of time and I said, look, I am doing good. I'm doing good work. I believe I'm deserving of, recognition of that. And I got my raise back and it was a $2,000 per year raise. $2,000. I think I went from 42 to 44, if memory serves. So I was really disappointed. I fought it. I took the issue all the way up to the regional managing partner. They brought somebody in just to talk to me about it. And he told me that I am in a box. I'm one of the students and the box moves along and they can't go outside the box. Of course, referring to this whole outside the box conversation, they said they literally couldn't take me outside of that. I was at the top of where I was at based on my years of experience. So I was able to find a couple of connections and got in touch with my old employer for my first job, who is now at a different firm, got talking to him, showed him my performance, and I was able to get a job with a 50% raise, a $23,000 raise, because I got hired as a CPA candidate as a manager instead of just a junior accountant. Now, is that going to work for everybody? No, everybody's trajectory is different. But I think the biggest thing here is don't let yourself fall into this whole you're in a box and you can't go outside of it. If you're at a firm you don't like it, don't stop. Go look somewhere else. You don't have to suffer. If they force you into audit, don't let them do it if you don't want to do it. I told that firm, the alphabet soup firm, where everybody has to do audit. When I was interviewing there, I said, I will not do audit. I don't like it. I've never liked it. I want to do tax. And they agreed. And I was able to start in tax only a year into my career. I was able to start doing Section 85 rollovers and all that fun stuff very early on because I was verbal about it. And I stood up for myself and I said that's what I wanted to do. So do that. Definitely do that. Stand up for yourself, know what you want to do and go and do it. And I think the third thing here to help with this and to help with this flexibility is to build relationships. When I was at the bigger firm, I told them that I was interested in GST and that I was interested in valuations and that I was interested in tax and other concepts and international tax. And they, through their network, got me in touch with partners at different cities that specialized in those areas. And I was able to have sit-down conversations and visit with these people to ask what they did and how they got there. A couple of those paid off down the road, and I was able to build a network. Again, too, becoming a partner was because of a network. I built a good relationship with somebody. They were retiring. They felt like I could fill their shoes, and they reached out to me. And I had the opportunity to come and buy in as a partner instead of just being a sole proprietor. So building relationships will also help with going outside the box. I think that that's the biggest thing. Life, I can't say that I've worked harder than anybody else. That I know people who have worked way harder than me, but I had some opportunities that came up that I took advantage of. I got lucky in some ways. But the thing is the more I've looked at life and the more I've read about success books and all this stuff, everybody gets opportunities to be lucky. A lot of it just comes down to taking the leap. When you have an opportunity comes up, sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith and hope it works out. It doesn't always. I've had a couple crash and burn, and sometimes it does. I think what happens though is that too often people will tend to just find something that they're somewhat comfortable with, and then they just stay there, and then they're not happy. So if you're not happy, go find something that you can take a leap of faith on.
Perfect. I really like the taking a leap of faith. I really like, developing those relationships, thinking outside the box. And then one thing I'm going to add is you bring the skills to back it up because you have evidence that you have the skill set to bring it up. So, and sometimes I bring this up because sometimes when we read the news and we see, number of people quitting and this is happening, everything, it's like, yes. And in order to really develop those relationships, you have to have that skill set. You came armed with, hey, I've saved $44,000 and I'm not satisfied with $2,000 of recognition. Or maybe you would have been if there was a business case as to why your numbers weren't matching theirs. But to be told, I'm sorry, you're in a box, there's nothing we can do. Well, thank you. Thank you for your feedback. And, then it's up to you to take your skill set and utilize it elsewhere. So Kudos to you. Thank you so much for sharing your wealth of experience with our candidates. I know that we have an aspiring educator here that is furiously taking notes. And I know that we also have some people like myself, I'm taking notes, and some other people that want to utilize bits and pieces of your story to inspire their own. So
I'd like to add one comment here as well, Sam, if that's okay.
Please.
You said there too about bringing skills. I think what's really important for everybody, and everybody listening to this, and everybody who hears it, you are an individual and you have your own skills. If you struggle in accounting, perhaps you struggle with debits and credits or with tax, that's fine. But maybe, just maybe, there is something out there that you were born to do. Maybe it's valuations. Maybe it's GST. Maybe it's just the fact that you can somewhat understand debits and credits, and your trajectory should be to go and get an MBA and become an advisor, a VP finance, a CFO, whatever it might be. I think the biggest thing is to remember that you are unique, which means that your trajectory is unique, which means that the opportunities that present themselves to you are also going to be unique. And I think the biggest thing to add to all of that is to just don't give up. There have been crushing moments in my life. Absolutely just devastating. And when I first was told that I was in a box and couldn't go out of it, it was crushing. It really was just destroying. But I had some things come up, those opportunities presented themselves, and I was able to take advantage of them. And I know that if you keep doing that, that it will come to you as well. So should you persevere? Absolutely. Should you give up? Never. Just try changing course. Try taking that leap of faith into something else. And you never know, it might pay off. And I think in today's world too, in the labor force, it's become so fluid that we have more opportunities than ever to really find something that speaks to us. That is what we want to do. That is what we love to do. And we have that opportunity today. So go and find it.
One designation, lots of doors.
Yes, absolutely.
Good afternoon, Jaden. And congratulations on being awarded the 2021 KBH Facilitator Award from the CPA Western School of Business.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay, I have a few questions for you, and we're going to start off with this one. What advice do you have for junior or aspiring accounting educators?
So I think the first thing is to just not give up. I remember when I first wanted to do it, and I'm sure it's still very much the same, that it was very competitive to get in and there wasn't always openings. So I found the spot on the CPA Alberta or Western School of Business website where you could apply for the job, and I bookmarked it, and I literally checked it every single day for probably 5 to 6 months, just waiting for something to open up because I really wanted to do it. Right from the get-go, it's something I wanted to get involved in, but it took time. It took a long time to get in there. And, it was worth it. Absolutely. So I think that's the first thing, is just don't quit, don't give up, keep working towards it. And the second thing is to think outside the box a little bit. For example, yes, I got an opportunity to teach as a session leader with CPA, but I also had the opportunity to teach at the university, in the University of Lethbridge. I drafted up a resume. I walked in the university, found some old profs and started asking around, found the person I needed to talk to, and I was able to get an opportunity to teach there as a sessional instructor, which was also a great opportunity that I really enjoyed.
Thank you. Jaden, could you tell me about your journey to attain your CPA? And what does it look like since then? What about your post-designation professional journey?
Yeah, so my journey is a little unorthodox, I think. A lot of people that I know tend to find one place that they work at, and then they will stay there and work there for their career, at least until they get their designation, and then they look elsewhere. From the time I finished school until I got my designation, I've had 3 jobs. I hopped around from a very small accounting firm to one of the multinational ones, down to a mid-sized accounting firm local to the city I was at. So I jumped around quite a bit, which was an adventure in its own, as well as doing the program. And while I was in the middle of the CPA program, we had our first kid as well. So it was a lot of work, very crazy, very busy, but really it's good. It's a good program. It takes a lot of time and effort. There's no doubt about it. I was one of those weird people who did the 2 elective modules at the same time as well. So I took tax and audit at the same time. That was a back-to-back exam. I think one was one day, the next one right after that, the very next day. So don't necessarily recommend it. It definitely took a lot, but it was an adventure. Since I got my designation, I started my own accounting firm. I then joined one of my old employers. I actually went back and bought in as a partner. I got into specialized tax, and then I recently left that to be a CFO for a construction company. So I've been kind of all over the map. Definitely a lot of that comes down to relationships, which you'll build with your clients, and some relationships that I built through the CPA program itself, and being a candidate, going to courses. I've built relationships there that I still have today. So a lot of that, it's helped with my crazy journey.
Fabulous. So we touched on this a little bit, or a lot of it actually, but maybe we could elaborate just a little bit. So I'm curious as to how you came to start working with CPAWSB. And so you had mentioned that you had bookmarked the website, and I know the one that you're referring to, it's the contractors opportunities. And there are oftentimes a number of opportunities. So exam evaluator, or exam contractor, session leader, online facilitator, and sometimes a CPA capstone volunteer panelist, as well as a couple other opportunities that may come up there. So in bookmarking the website, which one was the first one that you applied to, and how did that kind of lead to you right now as an award-winning educator for CPAWSB?
So I was 100% all in on session leader. I know myself, and I know that I don't like marking, and doing the cases and marking and reviewing those. I struggle with that personally. Definitely a challenge that I had through the program is the case writing. I'm sure lots of candidates have that challenge, but I knew right away I wanted to be the session leader. I wanted to run the workshops because I personally love them. I had some great facilitators, and ones who have happened to run into since then, and they still stand out to me as great examples of good accountants. And the weekends were great. It was intensive, I think 16 hours worth of coursework. It was busy, but I came away feeling like I could do this, like I could succeed. I came away more knowledgeable, and I wanted to be a part of that. And I know as well that, again, I don't like the whole homework side of it and the case marking side of it. I struggle with that, but teaching and guiding and answering questions in a live setting, that's something that personally I really enjoy. And so that's why again, right away, I knew I was going to be all in on session leader, and that's what I went for. And that's what I kept an eye out for. Again, took a while to get that position, but I'm really glad that I kept working for it. And as far as how that's helped me to get to where I am and to having won the award, I think a lot of this comes down to the fact that I love doing it. I really enjoy this opportunity, and I always wanted to do it, and I got the opportunity, and I've loved it. And I think that the candidates that I've helped teach and that I've been with in the workshops, they can see that.
I couldn't agree with you more. Being both a session leader as well as a candidate at one point, you can tell when people are show up and want to be there. And we can tell too as session leaders, the people that show up and are open to wanting to be there. And that can be really exciting and rewarding. So kudos to you for knowing what you want and chasing after it and being patient, knowing that it wasn't an overnight process. All right, Jaden, what is a rewarding experience that you have had as a CPAWSB educator?
There's been a lot. I've talked a little bit to candidates before about this, but something that has always meant a lot to me is when I get the feedback after a session. Candidates are often asked to provide feedback about the course and to the session leader, and I'm able to read some of those comments. And reading through that and reading these candidates who anonymously provide these comments to say that they loved having me as their session leader or that they hope that they get me again, just obviously that is really rewarding and really makes me feel like I'm making a difference. I think though that more rewarding than that though has been there's been opportunities where candidates still have questions. We go through a workshop or whatnot, and I tell the candidates like, hey, you know what? I'll be here during your lunch break if you want to come and chat or visit with me or after the workshop. And some of them do. And watching them go from confused to grasping the concept is always, it's a thrilling experience for me as an educator. And it's just great to see them come to me confused and uncertain and leave with a smile on their face because they get it, it clicked. They finally had the confidence to ask the question and they got it and it clicks. And now they have that confidence going into the exam or the case, or whatever it is that they're concerned about.
So Jaden, when you're not teaching for the school, what might we find you doing?
Well, 99% of that time is probably going to be spent with my family. I've got 3 young kids. They're ages 6, 4, and 2. So they definitely keep me on my toes and keep me busy. 100% why I have to be at an office and working from home isn't so easy for me. But yeah, lots of time with the family, outdoors, hiking. My kids love the park, so I'm often out there with them, or at least trying to make sure they don't hurt themselves. You know how kids are. So that's a lot. And then when I do have some downtime and they're in bed and the house is actually clean, once we clean up the tornado of children's toys, board games, movies, just something to try to refresh before the next busy day.